Uh, Whoops, I think I
Sorry.
just bumped a
No,
button.
no, I forgot to turn the recording on.
Okay.
That was me.
So I'm pushing a button. There we go. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. That was,
Okay.
yeah, that was on my end, sorry.
Okay, so yeah, we have a small office in the same building as the courthouse. It's got just space for the deputies to write reports, and it's got, you know, papers and a restroom and refrigerator, basic facilities there. And so the deputies, it's kind of hit or miss if they're in there. That's the only facility we have. There are no requirements to physically be in there. But that's really the only place they can kind of go to kick their feet up. We, of course, encourage them to be out moving around the island and being seen and so forth. But you're certainly welcome to call anytime and request them to respond there. And they're, you know, or your house or wherever you'd like to meet them. But you may happen upon them, and that's fine too. You know, we've got a bell out front and a door you can knock on. And if you see the cop cars outside, that's a good indication that they're there. So we always welcome that.
And Mika has also asked, is there a direct number for that office?
You know, that's a good question. I think there is, but it's not a published one. So, I mean, we've got our non-emergency phone number for the sheriff's office, which I'm happy to share. And of course, 911. And if you want to grab a pen to write down the non-emergency number, I'll give that to you in a second. But I always encourage people, please call us whenever in doubt. A lot of times people will say, oh, I don't want to bother the police, or you got better things to do, or it's probably not an emergency. We have call receivers whose job is to figure that out. So I tell folks it's better to call us and not need us than to need us and not call us. Sometimes you wait and you wait. No, I see somebody suspicious, and oh, now he's smashing into the car, and oh, he just took something and he's gone. Now I'm going to call 911. Well, we can't really catch him at that point. So if you see something suspicious, if it's at all concerning, call. Worst they're going to do is say no. That doesn't meet our criteria to send somebody, but that's pretty rare. And then the number, by the way, the non-emergency phone number for the sheriff's office countywide, it's 206-296-3311. 206-296-3311.
And would someone?
But if you forget that, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just asking someone to put it in the chat for us. Yeah, she did. Thank you. Okay, it's in the chat as well.
Yep, and don't ever feel bad about calling 911. And you may find sign of the times. It happens to all of us, myself included. Being a captain does not make me exempt from being on hold. There will be times when you'll call 911 and you'll be on hold. And that is not desirable for any of us. And the communications center has their standards and criteria, and it's my understanding they have federal tax dollars tied to response times and things. So they have motivation to do their best financially, but also just obviously from a commitment to the humanity of it all. We want to do our best and be available at all times. But sometimes it is the case that you will find yourself on hold.
Okay, are there other questions for Captain Draper? Anyone here in the room or on the Zoom call? Any more questions? Okay, thank you so very much.
You bet.
Glad to have you back on the island. And oh, someone has a question here. Oh, Linda Moore has a question.
Hi, it was just to add a comment that I've heard, and I think it's true, that when you do call 911, you have to at first say that you're calling from Vashon, because our street grid is directly over from the east side of the water, and it confuses the 911 operators if you don't say you're from Vashon.
Interesting. That may be, I haven't heard that before, but that very well may be true from a communication center perspective. When you call 911, the phone calls go to our facility located in the city of Renton. Our communication center is there, and call receivers get the info and they type it, and that goes over to the call dispatchers, who then get on the radio and talk to the deputies in the field, who then have their response time. So if I'm standing right beside you on the island and you call 911, there's still probably going to be a 2 or 3 minute delay before I get the call. So anything you can do to assist, like if you've heard that, it absolutely cannot hurt. And I'd encourage you to do it. Say, hey, I'm calling from Vashon Island, and then tell them
It
your
happened to me.
situation.
It happened to me where the operator did not know where the address. They were like, that doesn't make any sense.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I told him I was
Interesting.
on that. Yeah. A lot of people might not know that. So it's a good thing to share.
Yeah, that's good to know. And hey, before I go, I can tell you too, this wasn't asked here, but I received an email asking questions about recent history of mail theft and residential burglary. I don't know if any of you have any concerns about that or have heard anything about that. I did some digging into the statistics in this past year or so, and I discovered that regarding mail thefts, there have been none reported, and that doesn't mean there haven't been any, but there have been none reported to the sheriff's office in 2023 in the last, what would that be, 10 months? I'm sorry, 10 weeks. And in all of 22, there were 10 reported mail thefts. So less than one a month, which is good from a trend perspective. We're not seeing a trend. It's bad if you're the one getting your mail stolen, of course. But we're not seeing anything there that's indicating some kind of a rampant trend regarding mail thefts. And then residential burglaries, it's a pretty similar story. And so far in 2023, there have been 3 reported. And in all of 2022, there were 11. And most of those were occurring about a year ago. So again, averaging about one a month is, again, it's never good if it's you, but in terms of overall statistics and trends, that's encouraging that we're not seeing something rampant and consistent going on there. But I would say this about those crimes and all crimes, that we not only appreciate, but depend on each of you to partner with us and keep us informed. Because if you don't tell us, of course, we don't know. And some people get discouraged and they figure, hey, why bother telling them, or it's not a big deal. But, you know, we would love to be informed. And so we thank you for working with us to keep us informed.
So we have Mika's Kitchen. Michaela has her hand up. And then I have another one here. So let's make it quick because we got to move on.
Okay. Oops, you're muted, it looks like.
Okay, so I would like to say that I you read about all the burglaries that are happening on Vashonites and Vashon community, et cetera. A lot of people are not reporting them. I know for a fact, the place that I've moved to for my business, in the 5 years he was here, he was broken into 4 times and never once reported it. I know that every single business in the villages, minus the Hive, has been broken into. I know that I was broken into twice and I did report it, and I had an open case and I pressed charges, and to this day, nothing has ever been done. We have the person on camera. And so a lot of people get discouraged because what we hear is that sometimes, because we're King County unincorporated, that if they take a case or have to follow through on a case on the island, they're stuck working it, and not always do they want to do that. So sometimes, you know, I feel like we're put to the back burner. And to this day, I will say I moved into a new location and I didn't realize how traumatized I was from 2 break-ins in 3 months. And I found myself leaving work, going home, taking a shower, and scared to leave my business vacant at night. And I would come back and sleep on the bench because I was petrified to get broken into again. I would put a bottle of wine right by my table, thinking, okay, if they break in, I'm going to hit them in the head with a bottle of wine or something. And, you know, today my security system was transferred, but still on camera doesn't really help. And I didn't realize how traumatized I was, but I'm really traumatized by it. And when I leave, I now have security in place, but I'm petrified to leave. Because where I was before, I wasn't even doing very good. And now I'm busy. I'm like, oh my God, if they were watching me when I wasn't busy, imagine now. I'm petrified.
Yeah. Well, I'm really sorry to hear that. And, you know, your story is not unique.
I know.
I've my whole career, this is one of the things that keeps coming up is when it comes to thefts or burglaries, there's two sides to it. There's the practical money side, like how much was lost, damaged, stolen, whatever. But then there's that intangible personal side that you were touching on, which is, hey, somebody was in my house, somebody was in my business, somebody came in here and violated my sense of safety. And that you can't really put a price on that. And so we are interested, I think all law enforcement officers are, not just in reducing crime, but in reducing the fear of crime. And those two are linked, but not always directly related. And so I can speak to the practical side, what you were saying about the what you're hearing about people not wanting to work follow-up. That's not a thing as far as deputies being assigned cases, because we can assign anybody any case at any time. It doesn't matter if somebody, let's say, works overtime on the island and takes your case and then they go back to the other side of the county and never work the island again. We can still take that case and assign it to whoever's working there. But I will say too that, and I'll make this quick because I know you got to move on. All of our laws in the state of Washington here are the RCW, the Revised Code of Washington. So you can find your laws and say, hey, this crime was committed, this law happened to be violated, and the cops can, take their evidence and submit it. The prosecutor and the prosecutor's filing standards are a different thing than the RCW. And so sometimes people think, hey, the cops didn't do anything, when in fact, it very well may be the case that they did everything they could do and they sent it to the prosecutor and the prosecutor declined to file because it didn't meet their standards. And so on your end, you don't see anything happening because it was, beyond us, it was basically ended. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it was
It's
over
not comforting
10,000
to
in
know.
over 10,000 in damage. You would think that something might have been taken seriously, but yeah.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to follow if you want to send me your case number, or I can jot down your name or something. I can follow up with that and get back to you and find out where we are with that. Because I'm just new back to the island now, but I'd be happy to see what I can find on your case in particular.
Okay, I'll get your contact information and I'll send it to you. Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
great.
Okay, we have one more question.
Just a quick comment, Captain, and a question on the mail theft. Things that don't fit into a roadside mailbox, the postal service leaves it on the shoulder of the road oftentimes. And people are getting their packages ripped off. And since it's delivered by the post office, that's mail theft. But, where FedEx and UPS, they come up your driveway, but the post office doesn't.
Right.
And they report it to the post office, but perhaps they don't report it to the King County Police. And is that something that they should do?
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, if we don't know, we can't take action on it. And you might think, hey, my theft was small, I don't really care, whatever. But if we don't have those statistics, we can't put those together and then look for a trend, or maybe there's evidence behind that you weren't aware of that we can collect that help us find who's doing this. And when we put all the cases together, the aggregate of them now is, felony level theft. So even if you don't want to be particularly involved, you might be able to help your neighbors solve their crimes as well. So yes, we encourage you to let us know, report it to us, and tell us, even if other agencies or departments are involved, like the Postal Service.
Okay, thank you so very much. That's really good information to know. We've learned a lot tonight about this, and welcome again. And we will look forward to having you attend future meetings.
Thank you so much. I'll sign off now, but again, please reach out anytime. We want to be, good public servants to each of you and good partners, and serve you to the best of our ability. So thank you for your warm welcome, and I look forward to serving you in the future.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Okay, next we have Jim Chan. He's a division director for permitting, and he's taking over for John Taylor, who couldn't make it this evening. Jim, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for hearing or having me. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, John was on a plane to the East Coast to visit family. Took off today, so he apologized for not being able to join you this evening. But I'm hopeful I can answer some questions and share information.
So there was some follow-up on some speed limit issues that John Taylor was going to share. Did he give any information to you?
He did not, but I can ping him when we're speaking here and see if he recalls what type of information was he going to provide.
Well, we've been working on issues of speed limits on the island in different places that seemed rather dangerous. So don't worry about pinging him on that. We'll just, at this point, open it up for questions that either Jim could answer or could pass on to someone else within King County to answer the questions. And Jim's in charge of permitting, so if you've got any questions about that, this would be a good time. David Vogel has a question.
Yes, Jim. I know that there was progress being made on the garbage cans for downtown Vashon, but I haven't seen them put out there yet. And I was wondering if we have an ETA.
You mean, I'm sorry, David, would these be public area trash cans?
Yeah, public trash cans. The county apparently has gotten those from King County Metro. And so they were refurbishing them. And I had asked John previously when he expected that they would be out on the ground. He had indicated maybe the end of January, but it's still, it's still a little bit, well, it hasn't come yet. So just wondering when we have an ETA.
I have that written down. I will find out.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
And Linda Moore has a question.
I actually want to give props to King County because a couple of months ago, I brought up an issue with the sidewalk along Thriftway on Bank Road, and they repaired it. So there's room now for anybody in a wheelchair to get through. And I'm just like, thank you.
I will let the roads division know.
Nice, thanks.
That's wonderful news. Thank you for sharing that, Linda. Is there anyone here?
I have a question. Can I?
Yep.
Sure, maybe I'll just grab the
Just
microphone.
grab the microphone.
Hi, Jim. My name's Ben. So we heard at our last meeting a little bit about this fee in lieu proposal. And I was going to ask John, maybe I'll ask you. So if a developer wants to develop on the island and not have to, build work in affordable housing units, is it correct that they can pay a fee in lieu of that to the county and then proceed with market price housing?
Yeah, let me get into that a little bit because I understand Diane had sent me some questions earlier in the week in preparation for this meeting, and I had some contacts with our friends at Department of Community Human Services as well as the sub-area team. So what we're talking about is currently a proposal under the comprehensive plan update. It has not yet been voted on, has not yet been adopted, but we're modeling it off of a program that we did adopt under the Skyway, West Hill, and North Highline sub-area plan that was adopted just recently. In that program, we included inclusionary housing proviso or inclusionary housing language in the sub-area that requires, as you mentioned, affordable housing as part of any development in those particular areas from developers. Inclusionary housing does have a fee in lieu of provision, but it is not automatic. It is something that you need to apply for. You have to demonstrate and justify why you qualify for the fee in lieu of. There are criterias you have to demonstrate. And then even if we approve the fee in lieu of, there are still a level of affordable housing units that you have to provide at a minimal standard, a minimum number. So that program is, like I said, it's in effect in the two areas in Skyway and North Highline. The county is looking at expanding that throughout all unincorporated King County through the comp plan. The comp plan is currently going through drafting. It's going to be made public shortly. It will not be, it'll be debated at council and ultimately be adopted. The target is the end of 2024. So up until that is in place, and if that provision is included for all of King County, then it may be in place. So to just summarize that, no, you cannot just be a developer, if it's adopted, walk up and say, you know what, here's a stack of money. I don't want to do affordable housing. Don't make me do it. Take this cash. No, that's not how it works.
Okay. When you say that there have already been criteria established in the, was it Highline you said that is already?
North Highline and Skyway in White Center, yes.
So when you say criteria already established, are those sort of publicly available? What are the? Yeah. Yeah.
So if you go online, and I can provide the link later tonight to Diane, and she can share it with everyone. The sub area plans that were adopted for Skyway, White Center, and North Highline have inclusionary housing, has an inclusionary housing program. So if you go into those plans, you can pull the language directly from those plans. But I can send a link and highlight the pages where you can look that up.
That'd be great.
That would be very helpful. Thank you very much.
And Jim, did you say that even if someone qualifies and they meet the criteria, they pay the fee in lieu, that they still have to provide some kind of affordable housing?
Right. So so under the adopted code in those two areas, developers are still required to provide a minimum level of affordable units on site. They cannot just say, here's my fee in lieu of, and I'm going to do everything, you know, take my money and we'll put it somewhere else, but they still have to provide a minimum number on site. Now, what that number is, I have to look at the plan. I don't know whether it's 5%, 10%, whatever that is, but it should be in the plan.
Can you give us a sense of the difference between the level of affordable housing that they would normally have to provide absent the fee in lieu versus what the minimum they would have to provide even after the fee in lieu? Like, is it a certain?
Yeah, I wish I knew off the top of my head. I didn't get that particular question, so I can look that up for you or point you in the right direction to get that.
Thanks, appreciate it.
For the adopted plans. Now, you could also look at some point in the near future, the proposed comp plan. Sorry, I'm getting some feedback here. An adopted comp plan. I'm sorry. There are draft language for the proposed comp plan that will come out shortly. It may be exactly aligned with the adopted ones in North Highline and Skyway. It may be a little different. So you can get a sense of what we have done versus what may come, and it may be different. As you know, North Highline, White Center, Skyway are more dense urban areas. We don't have a lot of dense urban areas like those, so it may be different in different areas. So just a heads up.
So, you have a question? Come on up and ask.
The fee in lieu of if to not build affordable housing, does that money go into a bank that's used to benefit affordable housing moving forward?
That's exactly. That's what it would be. We have programs similarly for like critical areas. If you can't provide mitigation on your site, you pay into a bank that then creates critical areas in other nearby places within the same watershed. There are fee in lieu of programs that are similar to this. That's what we modeled it off of. Yes, it would be used for that purpose.
And our community members will have the opportunity to comment on the King County Comprehensive Plan proposal on this before.
Absolutely. It's a very robust public process.
Linda has a question.
Okay, we have another question. Linda Moore has another question.
Hi, I just want to ask him to clarify. So it goes into a fund. Does that fund like go just to Vashon unincorporated King County, or is it a fund that actually would go to a broader area?
That's a really good question. I'd have to find out. So your question is whether it goes into a pool that may serve all of unincorporated King County, or if the develops on Vashon, whether the fee in lieu of will be serving just for Vashon. Yeah, that's important. Yep. Okay.
So Jim, thank you very, very much. If there's no further questions for you, I really appreciate it. And I expect to get some information from you that I can pass on to people about
Excellent.
this.
You'll get it from me shortly.
Thank
Have a
you
good
very
night,
much.
everyone. Thank you.
Okay, next we have, I'm going to change the view here to gallery. Next we have our committee and board updates, and we're going to try to keep these to 5 minutes each if possible. And first we have our new post office committee, and Jim Garrison is here, I believe, to talk about that. And I'm not seeing him there. So David, would you mind giving a little bit of an update on the post office committee, and I can weigh in as well?
Sure. The meeting was attended by Diane, Jim, Sharon, Marin, Sharon Nelson, Mary Marin, Mike and Judy Lenahan, and myself. There are a few other people who have indicated that they want to be involved. And you reported that the second post office job fair was better organized and more successful. So that was a good thing. One of the new applicants for a permanent job is approaching his 90th day and is about to become a permanent carrier. We talked about contacting Jayapal's office again to see what can be done to get rid of Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, who appears to be determined to destroy the post office. And we decided we need to have a national effort on that. We talked about the fact that we've so far been unsuccessful about getting Amazon hubs on Vashon. And we talked about collecting information from islanders by survey being difficult, but the two most important issues appear to be medicine and paychecks. Talked about the holidays creating an overload and how are we to deal with that. Hiring temporary personnel is one approach. Apparently the post office has a word called voluntolds. And those are people who are told that they are to volunteer to come to Vashon for a seasonal hire. The 9 routes are currently staffed at 50%. John Yates at Ace Hardware reported that they were able to sell 90 oversized mailboxes in conjunction with a program with our committee. And I haven't heard back yet from Island Lumber, but they also had a program going. So it's been a great way to alleviate some of the package problems. And then Erica Turnbull, who's employed at Amazon, was able to submit an investigation report using evidence that has been put forward by many islanders. Amazon conducted an investigation based on her report and reported back to her that they will be reducing the cap on Vashon packages delivered through USPS from about 1,200 per day down to 500 packages a day, which is a tremendous boon to the post office. So great work, Erica, if you're hearing us. And then we said the next committee meeting is going to be Tuesday, April 10th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. And so if you're at all interested, please let us know.
That's fabulous. Thank you so very much, David. I think Erica Turnbull's work was phenomenal, and it's going to make a big difference to the island.
Sure.
Okay, and next, Kevin Jones for the Equity, Social Justice and Inclusion Committee. Kevin?
Thank you, Diane. Also, thank you for Deborah for volunteering to read a land acknowledgement at the meeting today. And thanks, of course, to Jessica Anakar James Ricard for helping to create the land acknowledgement statements that we're now using in our meetings, an activity spearheaded by Allison Trundle. Let's see, we had our last meeting yesterday. We are now approved to start our outreach. Interviews have been conducted and are continuing to schedule interviews with community leaders and individuals to discuss their perception of inclusion, social justice, and equity on Vashon and Maury Islands. So we are looking forward to gaining more insights and awareness from people in our community, leading to an evaluation and a decision about whether there's any recommended modifications that the council may choose to make us collectively as council members to the process that the council uses to outreach to our community and make sure people are feeling included. And let's see, our next meeting will be April 5th. We meet the first and third Wednesdays of each month at 6 p.m. At least for now. We might go back to monthly meetings soon. Anybody have any questions? I'd be happy to answer them.
Just not hearing any or seeing any here. So thank you very much, Kevin, for that update.
It looks like
Okay.
Michaela might have a question.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Michaela.
Sorry, I'm choking on a chip. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Kevin, I was just wondering if you had any information for me on the one group that you had discussed with me as far as their meetings and when the next one for that one is.
Let's see. That would be the Immigration Refugee Rights Working Group meeting. And there may be folks here who have that at the tip of their fingertips, but if you give me just a second to delay, I'll find it in a moment.
Do you have my
That's a-
contact information and could you text me that?
I will, but just so you know, in case you want to jot it down, it is April 12th at 11 o'clock. And I will make sure to send you the information for how to join that meeting.
All right, thank you.
Great, appreciate the question, thanks. Okay, thanks for the opportunity to Diane to provide status.
Sure, very good. Okay, thank you, Kevin. Next, we have the Ferry Advisory Committee update, Justin Hirsch.
Hello.
Hi.
It's been a little while since I had a chance to talk to everybody, but we picked a good month. I've got a lot to say, and there's a lot going on. So here's the report. First subject, probably most important on everyone's mind, is service restoration. So thanks to Governor Inslee and the legislature for the additional funding provided in last year's budget. They've had a net hire of 61 new fleet employees. That's 202 additional hires, 42 retirements, 99 separations for other reasons. So that leaves us with 62 additional. That's something that wouldn't have happened without legislature and governor support. So that's definitely a big win. That's part of how we're getting back to where we need to be. Attrition is still an issue, and they're still focusing on recruiting necessary to restore service across the system. The first 4 of 8 routes have been restored to 95% reliability. So that's Anacortes San Juan, Seattle Bainbridge, Clinton Mukilteo, Edmonds Kingston. It doesn't mean there's never crewing cancellations or sailings impacted by issues, but they're able to hit that 95% service metric. The 5th route scheduled for trial service is ours, the Fauntleroy-Vashon Southworth Triangle route. So in early April, when the Cathlamet returns to service, we're going to trial a 3-boat, return to 3-boat weekday triangle service. 3-boat schedule is so different from the 2-boat schedule. It's going to be more challenging than trials on other routes. They're going to be communicating with customers regularly. There's going to be some frustration because the 3-boat schedule is pretty different than the 2-boat schedule. So you're going to want to check the website Sometimes the WSDOT app is like wrong or delayed. So check the website, the WSDOT website for the most current schedule. I know there's a lot of apps out there. We get, used to certain expectations, but the website always has the most current schedule on it. The expectation right now is for weekday service to be fully restored by the end of May. And to be able to fully restore the full weekly sailing schedule, including weekends, by the fall of 2023. And I don't have a date more specific than that, but right now we're saying fall of 2023. Once they get done with us, they'll move on to Seattle Bremerton. So Bremerton's chomping at the bit as well. And so there's a lot of pressure in the system. In the meantime, starting last Monday, so the 13th, there are some additional sailings in the day. These are all up on the website because that's the most current source of the schedule. So the additional sailings are an 11:50 a.m. Vashon to Fauntleroy, 12:15 p.m. Fauntleroy to Vashon, which continues on to Southworth, a 7:35 p.m. Fauntleroy to Southworth, and that will also continue to go to Vashon. 8:10 p.m. Southworth to Vashon, 8:30 p.m. Vashon to Fauntleroy, 8:55 Fauntleroy to Vashon, 9:20 p.m. Vashon to Southworth, and on Fridays only at 9:35 p.m. from Southworth to Vashon. So I know that's a lot to remember. Check the website. We'll have some changes in the medical priority load process. So the primary change is doing away with fax copies of documents and switching to the online digital database with the launch of a new web page for applicants and their medical providers. Second change is the length of time for which customers can receive medical preferential loading authorization. Applications previously could be restored for a maximum of 90 days, but now will be authorized for a single day, multi-day, 30-day, or annually for those with chronic conditions. So there's 3 times there, right? One time, 30 days, or annual. Last change for users of the program will be ID verification at the terminal. So no, you can't give your medical priority load to somebody else to get them across the dock earlier. Regardless of whether they have the single day, multi-day, or annual day pass, customers will be sent an email confirmation, which they'll need to have printed out and present with matching ID when traveling. Customers and medical providers adjust to the new system. WSF will provide a 90-day grace period for customers who have their applications faxed in before March 20th. We'll make sure customers taking advantage of the grace period know about the program changes and encourage them to apply online as soon as they can. And I don't have a link for that one right now. But I would definitely hop on the WSF website or reach out to them directly if that is something that applies to you. So changes are coming for that. They haven't said this to me, but my suspicion there is to eliminate the need to possibly share protected health information with terminal employees in order to get the medical priority load. I have a question into them on exactly how that is supposed to work for drivers at Fauntleroy on busy summer Friday afternoons. And speaking of Fauntleroy, so the Fauntleroy terminal project is ongoing. WSF is in the process of conducting a planning and environmental linkages study. The community process so far has yielded 2 possible outcomes. 1, a dock that has greater capacity, or 2, a dock that has the same capacity. Clearly, we need the larger docks to fix the issues of the Fauntleroy terminal. There are not public meetings scheduled on this project in the foreseeable future. I keep bugging them about a community advisory group meeting. I imagine they'll schedule another one at whatever point they need it for the PEL study. We really do need to keep commenting publicly, and I'll put the email address in the chat, fauntleroytermproj@wsdot.wa.gov. I'll put that in the chat here in just a second. It also wouldn't hurt for Islanders to reach out to their legislators directly Senator Wynn and Representatives Fitzgibbon and Alvarado are on the Executive Advisory Committee. There's also a website for the project. So if you think about how we're talking about service restoration, that's great. We all want service to be restored. The problem is realistically, and I commented on this in the Beachcomber article, if anybody saw it last week, you know, that service restoration will be service restoration to where we were at March of 2020, which itself was still pretty problematic and had a lot of issues, and an awful lot of those issues, in my estimation, originate with the physical design of the Fauntleroy terminal. So we fix Fauntleroy, we fix an awful lot of the other issues. Last bit for me, Ferry Advisory Committee, in addition to reporting to the V-MCC when you'll have me, we're going to be holding some public meetings. I got some dates here. So that's April 26, June 28, August 23, and October 25. So that's every other fourth Wednesday starting in April. We'll have a hybrid format, so there will be an in-person location for the FAC meetings and also a Zoom link. We'll get an announcement in the Beachcombers events page for that. The public location is either going to be at the Vashon Library or possibly the Land Trust, depending on where we can find a room for our all volunteer zero budget organization. Other than that, I think that's what I got, and I'm happy to take any questions that I might be able to answer about ferries.
Okay, any questions here in the room? Melvin Mackey has a question. Go ahead, Melvin.
Yeah, just one simple question. Thank you very much, Justin, for the great report and all the work you're doing. The crash that happened at the Fauntleroy dock, evidently a final report on that has not come out. Do you have any information about when to expect that final report?
I don't, other than that I know generally that NTSB investigations typically take 24 months.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we'll move on. Thank you very much for that update, Justin. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And let's all get our comments in on the Fauntleroy dock, because they're split 50-50 right now. And, you know, the legislators represent both sides of the water. So boy, they better hear from us, and we better get loud if we want that thing to go our way. And it's hard to imagine the service getting much better if we're still stuck with the same physical constraints at Fauntleroy. And there's a dedicated group right in that cove there that's just absolutely committed to preventing that terminal from getting any larger. So that's all. Thanks so much, everybody.
We have 2 more questions, but we don't really have time, you guys. Nodi, if you're very, very fast, if it's a quick question, go ahead.
My quick question is there any way to address the ferry line cutters?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And Nodi, I used to love commuting by motorcycle with you. I don't know if you remember me, but you know, unfortunately, there's been some pretty bad incidents between line cutters and ferry staff. And so management, I know it's frustrating to report it to ferry staff and not get any results, but you know, ferry management has told their employees, look, for the most part, we can't have you interacting with line cutters, you know, beyond maybe asking somebody to leave because it's law enforcement. And so unfortunately, the only action that we really have is, you know, reporting it directly to law enforcement. Ideally, there's an officer at the end of the dock there who can address the situation. What I'll tell you in that situation is that, like, if you're in that line on Fauntleroy, it really helps to talk to the other drivers around you. Hey, did you see that guy cut? Do you remember who was in front of you? You know, everybody stay tight. I know they have the crosshatched areas, but that's just an invitation for line cutters. My personal opinion is it's no more of a crime to pull up into those crosshatched areas than it is to cut the line. So pull up, keep the line cutters out. If one of the residents needs to get in or out of their driveway, we'll just stop and talk to people and move our vehicles and make sure they can get on their way.
Okay, thank you. And one quick question. We do have time, David, go ahead.
Okay, Justin, could you send out an email to the members of the community council, basically giving us talking points and the person to communicate with regarding the Fauntleroy ferry? I know you did that before and I followed your lead and sent it in, but let's do it again if we could. The other thing is this afternoon, I was waiting for the ferry and a guy right near the front of the dock cuts in. I mean, it was so bodacious, but fortunately there was a police officer there and he very politely walked over to the guy and told him to go back to the back of the line. And I made sure to tell him, great job, thank you very much. So I think that's about our only avenue right now for line cutters.
Yeah, right on. Right on.
So
I'm glad
just-
to hear that the officer was there. WSF has had a huge problem securing the funding for traffic management, and has a big thing to do with line cutters. And so once again, clearly the solution to that is expand the Fauntleroy dock so that the cars are on the terminal and not out on Fauntleroy Way. I did see your email to Hadley on my 3 talking points. Our 3 keys to success at Fauntleroy. I asked her if she'd ever seen that before at a recent meeting and she groaned. So I know we're getting our point across, which is good, but we gotta keep hammering away and get louder. So I will send out an email
Send it to
with
me.
talking points.
Send it
Great,
to me.
great. Thank you.
Okay,
Good,
Okay.
good job.
thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Okay, David, you're up for the Town Plan Committee.
Oh, okay. Well, we have basically started a town plan committee. We have a charter that was adopted by the board. And we will be sending out a application for membership based on what the King County had done in 2027. And Diane and I will be leading the charge on sending out the member application. Also, there was some pushback from King County thinking that we had perceived our role as being much greater than they would allow. And I was able to exchange an email with the leader of the planning for King County on the 2024 update for the plan, the general plan, and told him, no, we know exactly what our role should be. He then saw what it was, and I think they're much more welcoming at this point because our role is not to change the whole town plan, but only to address affordable housing through the P suffix conditions and the district overlay. So with that role in mind, I think the town plan committee has, can work with the county very effectively. And I thought that his reaction to the interchange was very positive. That's my report.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions for David about the Town Plan Committee? Or we have a question here at the Land Trust?
I'm Richard Bard. Hi, David.
Hey, Rich.
I read in the Beachcomber article, which maybe others like me had the first opportunity to see what was going on, not having followed too closely. And I saw in there that February 24th was last opportunity to comment. Is that true?
They sent out an ordinance, a proposed ordinance. They said that February 24th was the last opportunity to comment. I directly addressed that issue, and I think we are going to be able to comment through the town plan committee. So if you want to, I think I basically said that could be a very bad idea for our community. It could affect our rurality, and it could create more housing in the town center without any more affordable housing, which are both bad things. So I think he's realizing that they will get a lot less pushback if they keep the issue open for the town plan committee to review.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
Okay, any other questions? For David? Okay, thank you, David. Everybody will be hearing more about this soon. Okay. Next is the Strawberry Festival, and John Affelter was to talk about that. Are you here, John? Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize. Come on up.
Well, the way the planning is going right now is we've put together the team that's going to take us over the finish line with the July Strawberry Festival. We'll probably have much more concrete things to say in the next membership meeting. The one thing that we are going to have to decide on is up to that point, what we want to do in terms of the booth and where we want it positioned. The way we had it last year, through the kind graces of Mika, we were able to put our booth out in front of her place. But we have to figure out if that's where we want to be for this year. And if that's the case, what kinds of things that we want to have at the booth. So those kinds of issues are going to be talked about through the next month, and we should have some more concrete things to talk about in next month's meeting.
Okay, any questions from anybody about the Strawberry Festival? No? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, and then as far as board updates, Dustin Coe has submitted his resignation because of work issues. It's taking too much of his time. His work is taking too much of his time to be able to continue on the board, and we're sorry to have him go. And that does raise the issue. We have space on the board. And at the update email that was sent out is the application form for self-nomination, if you would like to fill it out. Okay, question, yes.
How many positions do we have open currently?
3, I believe, 3 or 4. We can have 12 total. Okay, so now we're moving on to new business. Is there any new business that people would like to bring up? We didn't have any scheduled or in the agenda. Yeah, come on over.
I propose that the community council consider for future discussion the formation of a transportation committee, which would cover things like King County roads, King County traffic engineering, King County Metro Transit, King County water taxi issues, WashDOT issues, grants, planning, policy, rules of the road, and things of that nature. There's a wide panoply of things that aren't covered by the current organization.
Thank you, Jake. We're going to put that on the agenda for the next board meeting. And that's Jake Jacobovich. And Amika, you have something you'd like to share?
No, I just wanted to ask, so you asked for some things that weren't posted, and I was just wondering if we could also, since you brought up a committee, put together a committee that only focuses on raising funds for the community council.
A fundraising committee.
Yes.
Yes, we'll add that to the agenda for our next board meeting as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, super. Next, we have old business, the environmental agenda that was sent to our lawmakers as voted on in February. Just wanted to report that. And Greg Rayborn has his hand up. So Greg, what would you like to share today?
Hi there. I just wanted to, I wasn't sure if everyone had seen it, but the county is having an open house kind of brainstorming session and talking about the former Misty Isle Farm site next week on March 22nd. And I can put the link to the registration for the site for the meeting in the chat.
Okay, thank you for that. Normally that would be under community updates or open discussion. So, but yeah, new business is fine. It's hard to know where to put stuff, isn't it?
Sorry, I didn't have the agenda in front of me.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Okay, and let's see, Mika, did you want to say anything more? Okay, took your hand down. Very good, very good. Okay. Now we have community updates, and the first community update on the list is Fire Chief Matt Vinci.
Good evening. Could you enable share so I could share my slides?
Certainly can.
Thank you very much. I apologize for not being there in person. I'm right next door, but talking with the community council folks, they thought it might be better that I present the slides from the fire station. So I look forward to meeting you all and walking over as soon as my presentation is done. But I thought this would be the best for technology. So with that, I'd like to start. If you can see my presentation, I will get it into presenter mode.
Yes, we can see it.
All right, I'm going to get it to presenter mode. I hope that works well. And if you can see it, I'd like to just start out by introducing myself. I know I have about 15 minutes or so. So I love to talk about Vashon Island Fire and Rescue and our great staff and the work that we do. So if I get a little long-winded, please read me into your agenda, but I look forward to talking about our staff. So I am your fire chief. I've been on the job now for about coming up on 10 months. I started in June and hit the ground running, working with our great staff, our commission, to deliver emergency services across the island. I bring 28 years of service, years in the fire service. I spent 20 years in Burlington, Vermont. I see Vermont a lot like that, Vashon Island, almost some similarities to resources and staffing and the issues I'm going to talk about here. So there's a lot of similarities there. And I love being a Vashon Island resident. I'm also a Vashon Island resident. So I see similarities working here, living here, and providing services. So let me give you a little background. If you can see that okay, I want to thank everyone for their continued support. And I'm going to concentrate tonight on services, what we're doing to build out more services across the island to support the needs of our island and to have an effective deployment model to serve our 911 services and our non-911 services. I want to thank the group. I wasn't here in 2016, but I love to look back and learn. And in 2016, the taxpayers on Vashon Island supported a levy, and it brought the district out of the brink of bankruptcy. However, in the 16 levy didn't address the ongoing challenges that we face and that are in the forefront for us. That we've identified in our 2003 strategic plan. This is the last year of our 6-year levy. We're currently at $1.13 per thousand of assessed property value. And our 2023 levy renewal, I'm going to talk about our plan to address the many pressing needs of the fire district. I know this, the council and the taxpayers here understand Vashon Island well. I just want to kind of give you a perspective from the fire district. We operate primarily out of one fire station right next door to where the meeting is being held. We have staffing 24/7, but we do not have staffing at our other stations. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Our current minimum daily staffing is 3 career firefighter EMTs per shift. And in 2022, we responded to 1,630 911 calls. That doesn't count all calls for non-emergency service. Those are emergency calls that came through Valleycom, which is our dispatch center over in Burien, and our 911 center. We are a combination career volunteer fire department, and I see that model as a very sustainable model moving forward. We'll have a core group of career firefighters augmented by volunteer firefighters, volunteer EMTs, and our support folks. And both that group is training right out back right now. And that is a good combination model to serve the island. We are also served, and you are served by King County Medic 1 paramedics, and they are not firefighters. They're highly trained paramedics that work in concert with our firefighter EMTs. We have a tiered EMS system here, a tiered emergency medical services system, where Vashon firefighters respond to the bulk of the calls. They respond to all the EMS calls, but they respond to the basic life support calls. And then if it's advanced life support, trauma, cardiac, then we add the medics. However, they're not firefighters, and they don't respond to the basic life support calls. The system is set up in King County that they respond to the advanced life support calls. We just went through a rigorous process, and it was a pick up the hood and look underneath the car, underneath the hood, underneath all aspects of our operations. And we went through a strategic plan, and we're getting ready to present the final findings to the strategic plan. You're going to hear them tonight. But the core areas we want to, in the strategic plan, we want to work on our staffing, and we want to increase our minimum daily staffing to 6 every day. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. We want to implement a comprehensive community risk reduction plan. That's all about removing and reducing risk, getting out in the community, working with our community on risk reduction, whether it be wildland risk reduction, trips and falls with our aging population. I mentioned here CPR AED classes. We're getting ready to launch those. There's a great article on the front page of the Beachcomber about our work around providing CPR and AED classes. Those will be free to the public, as our smoke detector program is free to the public. We have been in over 85 homes on Vashon to date since we launched that program during Fire Prevention Week in October, and we're putting smoke detectors in homes that never had a smoke detector in their home. So good, meaningful work, prevention work. We also want to implement our facilities plan. I'll talk about that. Begin planning for a second staff fire station, which we believe is the right deployment model on Vashon Island, because response times matter. And then we want to implement our fire apparatus replacement plan. Challenges. We're on an island. I know that very well. I know we're surrounded by water, and our mutual aid, so our firefighters and other fire resources from the mainland, which primarily come from South King County. They'll come from Burien, they'll come from Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority in the Kent area. They have to, as you know well, they have to get on a ferry, and it's over an hour away. Fire doubles in size every minute it goes without water, so it rapidly spreads, and you have a 10% chance less chance of surviving a cardiac incident for every minute you go without advanced life support and CPR. We also have simultaneous calls. I believe Vashon Island has, almost on a regular basis, I talk about the numbers, but we always seem to have things come in 2s and 3s. And that's a demand on our resources. We need to support our aging population on the island. We need to have services, and we need to be a partner to do that. That is a challenge, but it's an opportunity, and we have resources to address that, and our levy resources will as well. We are not meeting minimum standards. I won't get into the weeds too much on those 2 next bullet points, but they are important for the safety of our firefighters, that we have the right amount of firefighters on the scene to be able to enter a home and perform a rescue. That's 2 in and 2 out. With only 3 career firefighters on duty right now, we would have to wait. A delay is a risk to property and life. And then our challenges are recruitment and retention. Recruitment and retention of on-island certified volunteer firefighters. We had a really good applicant pool for our recent career firefighters we hired, but we are working on recruitment and retention of volunteer firefighters. Quickly, in the interest of time, I love to spend more time. Again, I love talking about VIFR. Our services are time critical. We need to get there in a fast amount of time with the right amount of people. Our metric is to try to reach the island in 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes. Any minute we can reduce that by is a better outcome. So they're time critical. They're highly technical. We need to have the right training, the right people with the highly technical training, and they're labor intensive. We have to have the right amount of firefighters, the right amount of EMTs, reach the scene when you need 911 to have the best favorable outcome, to save lives and save property. Response time matters. I mentioned this is a little bit of a detailed slide, but it shows how quickly that fire spreads. Fires spread faster today than they've ever spread in the history of statistics that have been held and studies that have been done due to all the flammable goods in people's homes. We don't have as much made out of older construction. We have newer construction. We have a lot of plastics, a lot of fuel in people's homes. So fire moves very quickly, spreads very quickly, doubles in size every minute it's unsuppressed. And again, there's a 10% less chance of surviving a cardiac incident with every minute you go without advanced life support and CPR. Response time is our business. What will our levy that we're asking the voters to consider and giving information to the voters on, what will it do? The primary objectives are going to be that we want to create a deployment model with additional staffing that is an effective response time for all emergencies. And what that does is that gives us additional resources when we have those simultaneous calls, and then it will allow us to staff a second station down the road so that we have a station in the south end, somewhere in the Vashon-Maury Island area that will serve that area of the island. Right now, currently, Station 5-6, it's a Burton station, and the Dockton station are unstaffed. And I'll talk a minute about that. And we're going to invest now. We're going to invest now in our stations and our training facility improvements. Number two, also, I apologize, I skipped over that. It's critical. We have an aging vehicle fleet. I'll talk about that, but we're looking to replace 6 critical emergency vehicles in 6 years. Here's the slide on our fleet. We have one of the oldest fleets in King County. What does that mean? It's expensive to repair and maintain. We have 2 23-year-old frontline engines that they don't make the pumps on anymore, and they need a substantial amount of work, and we have to manufacture parts. We have a 23-year-old water tender. We have a 26-year-old rescue truck, and we have a 26-year-old brush truck. We have 2 aid cars, ambulances with 150,000 miles on them. They're our 3rd and 4th line, but they go into service at times. And we also have one that is at end of life. We are not going to be able to put more money into that, keep that vehicle on the road. Those need to be replaced, and the investment from the levy will support replacing those. The national standards are that they should be replaced at 15 years. They should be put in reserve at 5, and after 20 years, additional 5, and at 20 years, they should be taken out of service. We have several vehicles that are well beyond those national standards. Our facilities, they lack earthquake resistance. We have issues with facility improvements with further deterioration. If you're able to go to Burton Station, you can actually see a crack in the front of that station. It has structural issues. We want to move forward with staffing that second station. So that's part of our facilities. Our facility plan is to locate an area somewhere in the south end and start the plan to construct a second station. We do have those 3 stations that are on staff, Vashon-Maury and the north end. And also we want to provide improvements to our emergency operations center. Being an island, we have to be resourceful. We have to have enough resources to sustain a long-standing incident, and we'll do that through our emergency operations center. A quick slide on our stations. Bank Road Station is scheduled to get a renovation and to add some sleeping space to accommodate additional staffing. It also, we have a lot of walk-in calls to the Bank Road Station. So we are going to improve our ability to treat people 24/7 with some additional private aid rooms. If you've ever been here for a walk-in emergency, we don't really have the facilities for folks. We treat everyone 24/7. You walk in, we're here for you. But we want to improve our facilities to do that. North End Station's out of service. There's no usable apparatus there. We're looking to, in our facilities plan, to sell that station and reinvest that back into the community, into other stations. Staffing, I'll talk quickly. Safety of our community is our #1 priority in staffing. Since January 1st of this year, we've had 58 occasions where we've had 2 or more emergency calls going on at the same time. We cannot respond in a timely fashion to a second call when we have 3 on duty like we do currently tonight. We want to leverage federal funding to assist us with getting our station and our facility and our apparatus addressed in a timely manner. We have put in for a federal grant to support 4 additional career firefighters. That number that you see will pay for 100% of their salaries for 3 years. And our levy would support those positions in year 4 if we're awarded that grant. It's a great opportunity to bring federal money back to the island and to be able to support those positions. And then, of course, on the forefront, we're there. We take a risk in this job. I've been in it for 28 years, but the safety of our firefighters is incredibly important. And right now, with our current staffing model, it's not a safe situation for our firefighters, and we want to address that. And we want to give you the information to be informed when you make that decision on the levy. What is it going to cost if approved? I know the median home price. I'm a Vashon-Island resident, and I just purchased a home, so I know the median home price is over $700,000 on Vashon. We believe this is an investment in your safety and your property, to save property and not have to rebuild that house, primarily to save lives, and then to have resources on the island. $21 a month, which boils down to less than just about 70 cents a day, is what the levy would cost if approved. I want to thank everyone. I want to make myself fully available. Come over and talk with folks at the community council meetings. Here's my contact information. I am available on email or on the phone. Come to the Bank Road station, and have a cup of coffee and talk about your fire district. So with that, I appreciate your time and the ability and opportunity to present, and I'll answer questions and then continue to make myself available at any time that anyone would like to talk further.
Thank you very much. There was a lot of great information. A lot of it I wasn't aware of before. And we have a question. Jake Jakobovich.
Howdy, Captain. Is your last name pronounced Vinci or Vinci?
Vinci. Yeah, you had it right. Vinci.
Okay, thank you. So my question is, you're probably aware that there's a cap on all the taxing districts on the island combined can only be to a certain level. And the issue in previous years has always been the more going to the fire department, and I'm not making a yes or no or opinion on that, but that will cut out funding for our junior taxing districts, particularly the Park District seems to come up a lot. You're aware of that?
I am. I am, and if I may, we've met, all the taxing districts have been meeting, and we met early before we proposed this levy. I don't have the number in front of me, but I will get it to the council. It is not going to impact, I believe, is it the $5.80 cap, $5.90, but it's not going to impact that. I've been meeting with the Parks District. They are aware that we're going for the levy. It's not going to impact the cap. I believe it's somewhere around, leaving around 25 cents of that cap or more. But it does, as of the math that the taxing districts did all together, it does not impact the cap, and it will not impact the Parks District.
Okay, thank you. And you might consider having a standalone public meeting for the community just to explain all of this. So thank you very much.
We will. Yep, I appreciate that. We will.
Are there any people who want to ask a question on the Zoom call? Because there's another one here at the Land Trust building. Okay, come on up, please.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi there.
So,
Name, sir?
oh, Mike Dawson. And so since you're a property owner on the island, you probably realize that that assessments for property on the island have skyrocketed in recent years. And since your levy is tied directly to assessed value, I presume that what is coming into the fire department is increasing significantly. Is this not true?
Not significantly. I don't have the exact number in front of me. I can get that to you. But our levy, when the valuations went up, as the levies work, our taxing ability eroded. So we are at $1.12, $1.13 per thousand. Last year, we were at $1.34 per thousand. And when the property valuations rose in 2023, our ability for taxing eroded to $1.13. So this is the last year of our 6-year levy where we have statutory authority to tax to 106%, because the voters approved that in 2016 to tax to 106%. We can, if we were not to get this levy, we could only tax 1% more, and it would not keep up with inflation, and it would not allow us to have the additional staffing. But back to your question, sir, we didn't get substantial. I want to be able to quantify that and give you a number, which I will, but it did not give us substantial new revenue with new valuations. It actually worked somewhat against us as our levy ability eroded down to $1.12.
And so it is the proposal for a levy that is tied to the overall assessed values on the island?
Yeah, our proposal is to do a lid lift. They're always tied to the assessed values on the island. Our proposal would be to go from $1.13, $1.12, $1.13 to $1.50 to do a lid lift back up. Our maximum authority is $1.50 per thousand. So we're asking to do a lid lift from that $1.13 up to $1.50. And it's tied to the AVs, to the evaluations, to the assessed valuations. Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, I believe Nell had I want to switch back.
Yes.
And so Nell, did you have a question you wanted to ask?
No, I didn't have a question.
Sharon Nelson, I mean, sorry, not Melvin. Sharon Nelson. Nell? No. Okay, so come on up. Did you have a question? Someone else? Okay. All right.
Hi, good evening.
What's your name?
My name is Osha Christensen. I'm kind of a newbie on the island. I've only been here 7 years. So, I originally grew up in Eastern Washington and wasn't interested in Vashon until I had kids. It seemed like a great place to move, and people told me moving back to Washington, things over here had gotten expensive and things had changed. And I didn't quite comprehend what they were saying. So I moved into a house on Vashon that was moldy, and I thought I'd be there for a couple months, but it took me a year to find a place, a 3-bedroom house. Partly because I didn't make 3 times the rent and I had a pit bull. So if you have always had stable housing, you consider yourself lucky. Some people may say that's a privilege. And oftentimes with privileges, when we are experiencing them, we don't realize that they're a privilege. It just seems like the bottom line or an everyday thing. But for people who don't get to experience them, it seems like a blessing. So I joined Vashon Household to help with the housing situation on the island. It's no secret that there's housing crisis nationwide and on Vashon. Short-term rentals have definitely made this worse. One reason people rent out their places is to bring in some extra income. And doing a short-term rental like an Airbnb is really appealing because it does bring in a lot of extra money potentially.
And you're.
Oh, yes. So at Vashon Household, we looked around at similar or other communities around to find programs to help alleviate the housing issues. Everybody knows it's super expensive to build and very time consuming in King County. So this home share program was developed as a way to meet housing needs.
Are you asking him a question? Because we're still on him. Oh, my
I'm
gosh.
sorry.
That's why I was wondering what was going on.
I thought you were calling me up to start
For the next thing. I thought you had a question for him.
Oh, I
My
never.
gosh, my mistake. So just hang on, just stay there.
I
Stay there.
wondered what the deal
Yeah,
was.
So that wasn't a question for you, Chief Vinci. And I don't see any other questions up there for you. Thank you very much. Is there any last word you'd like to say before we move on?
No, just again, thank you very much for the ability to serve and be your fire chief. I look forward to interacting with you within the community council and then individually, through my contact information. We'll have further, as one of the gentlemen mentioned, a further opportunity for the public to weigh in on this process with our commission and then individually with the fire district. So thank you very much again. There is one more hand up. If I don't want you to miss it. Melvin has his hand up.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to call your attention to something in the chat. It says, I'm just curious if the primary concern to the fire district is time to the emergency scene. Why would Portage or a North End location make more sense than Burton, despite the need to building crack repairs?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for that. We did GIS studying, so we looked at all of our incidents, our current station placement, and where we can get to the largest portion of the island in 8 minutes or less. And the station 55, I call it this number, I'm sorry, it's the Bank Road station right across from where we're at, where your meeting is being held tonight, can reach the majority of the North End. I'd love to share the map. I didn't have it in 8 minutes. We have some really great mapping. Where we really fall short is the South End, Burton, Portage, Maury, even out, obviously out to Gold Beach, to Tahlequah. So we did some modeling based on our data and all of the 911 responses over the last 7 years. And it showed that we need a second staff station somewhere south of Judd Creek that can serve more, go out to Maury and go south and reach the largest portion of Vashon Island residents in 8 minutes. I hope that answers the question. It's about station placement and response time and the current services that are coming out of Bank Road.
Okay, so thanks again. Really appreciate the information. I look forward to helping to publicize the public meeting that will be coming up. So more people can see this and ask questions. Thanks again. Okay, and now.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so
Well
sorry. So now we have, before we go to you, we have a propane gas update from John Affolter. But
Okay.
John, you want to quickly do that? Don't be long. We'll have you right back up, Portia.
Well, there's three things that have happened with the propane. One of them is the emergency of it has sort of waned a little bit. Some of the customers who weren't able to get AmeriGas to respond have decided to go to other providers because they need their gas. Some of the people who have been actually negotiating with AmeriGas are reaching some kind of agreement to where they promise to be more forthright in getting on the island. And then I'm waiting for Krista to come back from her trip to talk with me about where she is with getting a contract with a Tacoma provider and the logistics involved with the hazardous waste boat and the cost of getting it over. So those are the three things that are relevant tonight.
Any questions for John about the propane gas situation? Nope. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So now I'd like to introduce Osha Christensen. She is with the Vashon household and she's in charge of the home share program.
All right.
All right. And you were.
Try this again. So Vashon household's been on Vashon since 1990. It is the only nonprofit on the island that is focused on housing. Many people don't know that co-housing was actually started by Vashon household. I have joined the home share program. Its official launch was earlier this year with my hire. They looked at communities. I think I said this part, so let's skip ahead a little bit. My job is to look at people who have rentals, either a room in their house or a casita, some sort of living space that they would like to rent, and match them with people who need rentals. There are many workers on the island, people working at Sawbones, at Thriftway, that struggle to find suitable homes. So it's my job to interview these people, get to know everyone, vet them, and then find good matches and put them together. First, we do this by bringing them into somewhere neutral, usually Vashon household office, and just having them meet first off and see if they hit it off, and it'll be a good relationship. If that works out well, then we take them to the property and they get to check that out. And the final and most important step is our rather lengthy agreement. It's partly a lease and more so an agreement to clarify any expectations that may come up around living with someone, especially when you're renting out a room in your house. This is going to be a very intimate relationship with someone. So the more that we can clarify the different needs and expectations of each or all individuals involved, the better we are setting them up for a healthy and positive relationship. And then after a month of them living together, we go back and look over the agreement and see if anything needs change. As I said, there's different reasons people have rentals, and one of them is clearly financial. But sometimes it's companionship, and it's my job to match people together who are going to benefit each other and really have a good relationship. Also, a great part of this program being non-traditional is that many people choose to do work trades. This is a great way to offer more affordable housing and get your needs met, whether it be landscaping around your place, having somebody help out in your home, whatever it may be. I'm here to help clarify the agreements so that as time goes by, we don't get down the road and be like, oh, I thought you were going to do this and that. And other person's like, oh, no, that's not at all what I thought. So a lot of times misunderstanding and conflicts can be avoided just by being over clarifying, perhaps. So, I'd like to invite you, if you or anyone you know knows or is interested in renting out some space, help us at Vashon Household help solve the housing crisis. And
fabulous. Now I'd open it up to questions for OSHA. People have questions or comments about,
and I apologize for that misunderstanding.
no, it was no problem. Oh my gosh. No, you, otherwise they can't hear you. Well, I want to be sure everybody gets to hear you.
Okay, OSHA, have you thought about advocating at the King County Council for a change in the accessory dwelling unit standards and stuff to create more housing on Vashon?
I have thought about that. Some of the people that I've talked to have been talking about permitting issues, and that is a very needed, not only for this program, but everyone in this community in King County. I would love to know more about how to do that if you have, that'd be great.
Okay, Mika has a question or a comment.
Hi there. I would just like to say that I love what I just heard you say. I think that you're tapping into finding housing with existing housing, and that doesn't require permits or any other thing. And I would love to have your contact information so I can spread the word via social media. And I would love to speak with you more. Yeah.
My email is OSHA at vashonhousehold.org.
Thank you so much. Wait, OSHA at vashonhousehold.org. Okay, thank you so much.
463-6454.
463
6454.
6454. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, question. Could you
let you repeat that? Is there a direct way to support this particular program?
There is a direct way
Yeah, the
to
question
support this program in particular. When you make donations to Vashon Household, say you specifically would like it to go to the home share program. We really appreciate that.
Okay, so I have a question. How many are happening, or can you give us any numbers?
3.
Since
we have 2 that are done and one that is really, really happy. The other one could use a little more re-clarifying, and another in the works that should be done next week. So.
And Nodi Sullivan has a comment or question. Nodi?
Are there income limits either for the renter or the rentee?
No, all the terms are completely set up by the renter and the rentee. It does not, there's no qualifications to become part of the program.
Thank you.
Great question. Okay, anyone else? All right, thank you.
Thank you
very
all.
much.
I appreciate
We all look forward to
being
helping
here.
to promote this, because anything we can do for affordable housing on this island is critically important.
Much needed. Thank you.
Thank you, OSHA.
Thanks, question.
Okay, and now we are at the time, and oh my gosh, we are right on time. This is so amazing. Open discussion. Does anyone have anything they would like to raise and talk about, an issue that's bothering them, anything, questions they might have, things they'd like to see done, or people they'd like to see present at a future community council meeting? Anybody? No. Okay, of course, who could pass an opportunity like that?
And no, with that opportunity there, perhaps people should think about it, but we should have department directors, let's say from the county, that have impact in our community, you know, have a major impact, just to get familiar with them, for them to get familiar with us.
Could
know?
you give me an example?
Okay, well, I guess the director of the building and land is now local services director. It's John Taylor.
He
Also,
comes every month.
but maybe the police chief, you know, for the all of King County Police. And there's I'm not thinking right now, but there are, you know, there's probably 10 different departments and stuff like that. So okay.
Okay, thank you very much for that suggestion.
Or even what's going on with the health services on the island, in that there was a little kerfuffle, you know, 6 months back on who's moving where.
An update on that?
Yeah, so.
Okay, great. All right, any other things for open discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, we're adjourned and our next meeting is Thursday, April 20th, 7 o'clock. See you then.
8:55 adjourned.
That's gotta be a record for.
Minutes.
What's your last name, Ben?